How you doing?
Doing good. How's your day going so far?
Great. It's great. I'm getting ready to
Nice.
explore.
Awesome, awesome. And then we have some other guests that will be dropping by. Our very own Devin Howard, who is, of course, our Newegg studio producer and the host of Unbox This. She's going to be explaining how Adobe Premiere is using NVIDIA software to all of our Unbox This video series, as well as Chris Haynes, who is one of our editors here, and how he uses Adobe After Effects and how it's so important to have NVIDIA Studio drivers to optimize these graphics performance. So, before I get started with what we're really here to talk about in NVIDIA's Studio software, I do want to let you guys know that we are going to be doing a giveaway. We're going to be giving away a laptop with the NVIDIA Studio badge, and to get this, all you have to do is click the link in the description down below. And if you're wondering how long you're going to take to find out if you win, well, we'll announce it before the end of the stream. So that means you should enter right now. Go ahead and click the link in the description down below, and stay tuned because we will be announcing it before the end of the show. Now, let's go ahead and run through some of the specs on this very laptop. This is a Gigabyte Aero 15 OLED, and it has an NVIDIA RTX 3080 graphics card with a boost clock of 1245, with what's very important in graphics card on laptops right now, a maximum wattage of 105 watts. That's really important because that really makes all the difference right now when you're getting a graphics card in a laptop. It of course also has NVIDIA DLSS technology for that AI rendering that makes all your gaming really look smooth, even if it wasn't made to look that way, and an 11th gen i7 processor with up to 4.6 gigahertz speed, 16 gigs of RAM that can be upgraded to 64 max. I am jealous of that because mine was maxed out at 32 myself, so I would definitely love to have 64 gigs of RAM. Plus, this also has a 1 terabyte Gen 4 NVMe, already the latest and greatest with the Gen 4 series on this laptop, so that's really awesome. And it maxes all out with a 15.6 ohm AMOLED display, 4K display, 3840 by 2160. So really amazing device. And again, one of you guys will win this before the end of the show. Just enter in the link down below. But let's get started. And Sabour, I'm going to reach out to you to give us a little teaser on what we're here to talk about today. And that's all about NVIDIA Studio. So what is an NVIDIA Studio driver?
So NVIDIA Studio drivers basically are our method of driving our hardware in a very efficient way. We test everything. We make sure everything works with the entire Adobe suite, After Effects, Photoshop, Premiere, as well as other applications like DaVinci Resolve, Cinema 4D, Blender. We really make sure that all the software that professionals use to make a living are thoroughly tested and have all the newest features that tap into the hardware that we provide. So I'll give you kind of a teaser of what to expect with AI tools and all that good stuff. So we'll dive into it a little bit further.
Awesome. Can't wait to see that. But first, let's hear from our very own Devin Howard and how NVIDIA software is used for our very own Unbox This series.
What's up, everyone? I'm Devin Howard, the host, writer, and producer of Unbox This, the revolutionary show that finally separates the products from their boxes. We release 5 episodes a week on our YouTube channel, and it takes a lot of work to make these shows possible. We usually have multiple members of our post-production team editing all day long to make sure that we're always bringing you the best reviews of all the best products available on Newegg. But when you're working with a multi-camera show with 4K footage, graphics, music, and tons of fun moments, you need to make sure that your computer keeps up with your edit speed. With industry-leading GPUs paired with NVIDIA's exclusive driver technology, our creative applications deliver levels of creative performance that meet what I call the Devin Howard standard.
What's the Devin Howard standard?
Back to work! Gosh. Let's put it this way. A typical episode of Unbox This will usually have a rough cut, followed by a few more cuts, and then a final high-resolution cut that gets uploaded to our YouTube channel. With NVIDIA Studio, our export times get cut way down. Time spent editing and color grading could be reduced as well. We definitely know how frustrating it can be when your edit slows way down, and I frequently am on a time crunch here in the studio. Seriously, we release a new episode every day. Like, how do we even do that? Let's say you're editing on a laptop with an internal GeForce RTX 3060 laptop GPU. You could edit videos more than 3 times faster than some laptops on the market. Here, take a look at some of these captures from the NVIDIA Studio team. The render times, export times, and especially the interface while editing is just leaps and bounds above some of the other products you could be editing on. When you're looking for NVIDIA products, just make sure that you look for the NVIDIA Studio badge. That means the laptop that you're looking for has all of the qualifications to be able to handle the NVIDIA Studio platform and supercharge your creative process. Oh, what's this? Good thing I have my box cutter. Look what we just unboxed. Knowledge. All right, everybody, enjoy the rest of the stream. Ricky, take it away.
All right, and thank you, Devin, for that. So I wanted to go a little bit about my own experience with this. When it comes to Adobe Premiere, you know, it's all about reducing your time, and that was one thing that when I switched over to a laptop, from building my own desktops for a while, I really wanted to make sure that I could save on time, of course. I didn't want to suddenly go, you know, from a video rendering in 5 minutes to waiting to be 10 minutes or anything like that. So work speed and optimization was a big thing to me. I myself have an RTX 2070 Super on mine. Hoping to get 30 series soon in the upcoming months, but really just have loved just the workflow. Didn't get too much bogged down because of all of these drivers. So Sabour, can you actually break down some of the specifics on how this technology actually works? Like, what is going into making this just so optimized when it comes to rendering, exporting, and the general interface overall?
So one of the very useful things that we've presented with our studio drivers and our hardware is hardware accelerated encoding and decoding. And what that does for both timeline interactivity and export and playback is you have the decode engine, which essentially decodes all your footage on the fly. I don't know if you guys all remember back in the day when we would have to convert our iPhone footage or DSLR footage, or really any footage, right, into a usable, editable format like ProRes 422 or something along those lines. That process was painful because you have to like wait for those encodes, and we also have to like balloon our hard drive space up to a ridiculous amount. But the reason why we did that is because H.264 inherently is not an editable format or an efficiently editable format. It plays back forward very nicely, but the second you try to scrub backwards, you start getting frame skips and jittering. So that's where our decoder comes into play. Our hardware accelerated decoder can play back H.264 footage, H.265, ProRes, it doesn't matter. Whatever we throw at it, it accelerates it. So we have that under the hood, and we also have decode. So when you're ready to export all your video clips, instead of waiting for, like what you were saying, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, or whatever it was for a 5-minute segment, it doesn't matter. You're now doing that in a fraction of the time. One of the little examples that I had, I rendered out a Major League and had to have a second version of it, and it's about a 4-minute music video, right? So then to export everything was like 35 to 45 minutes. Whereas when I had the hardware accelerated encoder, then I was able to encode that NVIDIA encoder within about, I think it was around 5 to 6 minutes for all the clips. So the speed increase was ridiculous. And then we also have a couple other cool tools that tap into our hardware and our studio driver. Some of those tools are like AI auto reframe. A lot of these AI tools, right? We think AI as some crazy magic sauce, but when it comes down to it, there are actual use cases in the creative world. A lot of use cases, and you're going to see a lot more. AI reframing, where we can intelligently reframe a shot. Let's say, for example, you're shooting a wedding or a concert, and you need to have the subject, the DJ, or the performer in the shot, but you have to export in Instagram or vertical video or any other different social media platforms. Well, you shot everything 16:9:9, and now you have to format that. So how do we do that with auto reframe? Not only do you get to choose the format that you want to export it as, but the AI automatically moves the frame to frame your subject on the fly, and it does all these keyframes automatically. And also scene edit detection. There's been many times where, especially like if you're a vlogger or a YouTuber, you have a video that you maybe finished already, right? And I don't know if you've ever had this situation. Somebody calls you up and they're like, "Oh, can we just edit this little piece out or replace it with this?" And you're like, "I don't even know where those hard drives are." I kind of want to go digging for those drives and try to find it. I know we've all been there. So it's just one of those situations where now you can take scene edit detection, take your final video that you exported. You might have that in the directory, just download it right back off Vimeo or YouTube or whatever. And then you run it through in Adobe Premiere, just right click on it, say scene edit detection, and it finds all the cuts in your video. And then at that point, you can just take the video, the clip that you want to replace, and pop in a new one. It's one of the, just a couple of the very cool little tools that are AI accelerated. DaVinci Resolve's another one. I'll just mention it really quick. Magic Mask. It's absolute magic. You literally just trace over somebody, and then it rotoscopes them out, meaning it like traces them out of the shot. So you can color correct them. You can add effects to them individually. And it's even smart enough to where it can pick out hair, it can pick out a top, it could pick out bottoms, it could pick out left arm, right arm. It's ridiculous. And then they're also pushing it to potentially do objects like cars or dogs, or the sky's the limit. So that should be fun.
Yeah.
So,
it makes it a lot easier for sure. And that's the whole thing. Like when it comes to scene detection, I mean, these are things that editors and YouTubers and all of us are really dealing with, because like you said, different social media platforms, AI reframing, perfect for that. Yeah. Scene detection, definitely, because I will not save all. I don't have enough storage. I just don't. I have an 8 terabyte NAS. That's it. I'm maxed.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I feel you. You just, sometimes you just can't save all the source files, especially with these 8K, RAWs, and it's ridiculous. It takes up so much space.
Absolutely. But it also works with other programs such as Adobe After Effects. So now we're going to hear from Chris to actually tell us more about that.
Hi, I'm Chris Haynes. I'm one of the editors here at Newegg Studios. I recently just wrapped up a few episodes of our show, The Gamer Lounge, which had a lot of complex elements. We had footage coming in from 5 different cameras, many different graphics, color correction, and even some green screen. So how we build out these edits is once the production is wrapped, we DIT all the footage, which basically means assembling it all together. We sync our audio and video, and then we build out a rough cut, which is just the audio and the video, just to figure out the pacing of the actual episode. After a rough cut, we send out for notes. We start refining our graphics. We get to a picture lock, and then we're framing our talent. We add in any graphics and green screen elements, and we add our music and sound mixing until eventually we're ready to the point where we can upload it to YouTube. Operating quickly is key for some of these quick turnaround edits. On a bad system, you could be dealing with any number of issues, including latency, where your program is not playing back the footage properly, and that can cause a huge issue with your edits because you can't get your pacing right if you can't play back your footage right. I've worked on bad systems where you're stuck watching an edit all day. Lesser GPUs start to show off their inadequacies when you're stacking multiple assets like graphics and color correction, or you're switching between After Effects and Premiere constantly. When you're working with Adobe After Effects, the NVIDIA Studio GPU accelerated key effects provide faster rendering with NVIDIA CUDA technology. For the Gamer Lounge, I use After Effects to create the title cards and motion graphics, including the name tags or lower thirds if you're nasty, the player selection grid, winner graphics, scoreboards, coins, and green screen composites, where we put each of the players on their own unique background in the games. Also, in our previous episodes, we've used After Effects to put Mr. Ben Tibbles in all sorts of situations, like in Star Wars, on a mountain, trapped in a monitor, in Call of Duty, We've cut him in half, put him on a GPU, put him on a beach. We even put him in the internet. Basically, we can put him anywhere, like here, or here, or here.
Ow!
See? Easy. So to tell you more about how NVIDIA Studio can enhance your laptop editing experience, we'll take you back to Ricky and Sabour in the studio.
And thank you so much, Chris. Now, is Ben going to pop up here too? Maybe not this video, maybe next time. But all of the talk about After Effects, Sabour, can you explain some of the technical side of that? Like, how is it doing all of these improvements, and why is it so much faster with NVIDIA?
So After Effects, we work very closely with Adobe, and there's a lot of accelerated that weren't necessarily accelerated prior. And slowly but surely, the entire After Effects application is
And I think we're back. Sorry about that delay. Looks like we're good. Sorry about that so much. So yeah, Sabour, sorry, you were talking about the After Effects breakdown. Sorry, I'm not sure where we got cut off. I do apologize for that. But
no problem.
I'm sure there's going to be more questions as it. Do you want to kind of just kind of sum up one last part, and then we're going to get into the Q&A section? Yeah.
Sure. Luckily, I sent a carrier pigeon out to everybody to make sure that if the live stream went out, we still had a backup plan. So we're good to go. No, After Effects is same thing. Is accelerated through encode and decode. A lot of AI tools. A lot of the things that you see in Premiere, you're also going to see in After Effects. And slowly but surely, After Effects will be rewritten to be GPU accelerated. But right now, there's a ton of plugins that are GPU accelerated. So it should be very, very efficient.
I think my plugins outnumber the actually built-in amount of storage that After Effects took at this point. Yeah, definitely.
100%. 100%.
All right. And now, guys, we are going to get to the questions and answers portion. So if you have any questions for me or Sabour, please let us know down in the comment section down below. I do see some already showing, so we'll try to answer them as best as we can. If not, just have some fun, great conversations. So first off, we have what style of videos take the most advantage of these accelerated tools? Sabour, I'll have you answer that one.
Oh, that's an interesting question, because if you think about it, really all styles of video right? If you're a vlogger, right? You can use auto reframe. Let's say, for example, you're the only one capturing yourself, right? You may have a wide angle camera, and you may not necessarily know if you're in shot or in frame, or if you got headroom or whatever, or left right room. And you also have the added complexity that you're going to have multiple different platforms that you're going to export to. So auto reframe can make sure that you're framed up nicely, right?
Definitely.
And then take the action sports video, right? You're shooting hours and hours of footage, and then you're condensing it down to like a 30 to 45 second crazy cut sequence, right? And you might have like 300 cuts in a span of 30 to 45 seconds. And you're not going to save all that footage that you've shot over the past weekend, but you have the final version, but you want to do a little edit or you want to do a little tweak. Well, you can do scene edit detection to do that tweak. So that's another style that would take advantage of it. Really, the sky's the limit. And giving the creators the tools to be able to do whatever they want, I think that's the most valuable part. That's what excites me, and that's what makes it to where I can still make a living, is just constantly getting these amazing tools, right? So that's, to answer the question, everybody.
Basically, yeah, everyone could take advantage of them, right?
Yeah.
All right, so the next one, I think I'll take this one. What is the advantage of having technology in a portable system like a laptop? For me, I went to events like CES and different kind of conventions where it didn't really make sense for me to bring my whole desktop, plug it into the hotel and pray that everything works kind of thing. Portability is such a big factor, and that's where, again, those NVIDIA drivers come in handy, because if I'm going to an event like CES, I have at least 20 videos to edit when I get there, and it's just so much. So every little moment counts, and all of these little clips, just like you said, I might have, 20 minutes worth of footage, but it's going to be condensed down. So all of that really does help. So yeah, I think time is everything when it comes to making sure that everything's done as soon as possible, so you can get your content up, so you can get your editing and everything, whether it be for yourself or a client. It's just always about the quicker, the better. All right. And how much of a disadvantage would it be to use a lesser system when editing? Like, how much would it get bogged down comparing to? I think you actually mentioned a little bit about that earlier when you were the difference of editing times.
Yeah, so editing times would be drastically different, right? And not only that, you don't have much room to grow. What I like to do, just in life in general, whenever I'm building a system or whenever I'm really doing anything, I try to give myself the option to grow into it. So I may get a system that might be a little bit overkill for me now, but it kind of allows me to grow into it, because now I'm being introduced all these tools that I didn't have and all these capabilities that I didn't have prior. Definitely. So I don't like to look at it as a disadvantage. I like to look at it more as, what are the advantages of having a more powerful system? And I think the advantages of that is you have the room for growth, and you get more tools, and you can do and execute those tools and all those creative those creative moments a lot faster. So I think that's not only speed, but it's also the creativity aspect of it that kind of expands your world a little bit by having a little bit more of a powerful system.
Definitely. And this one's interesting. How much closer do you feel like the current systems are getting for the average user, the average consumer that's editing at home with these tools now, comparing to professional rigs and professional editors such as yourself?
Well, that's a fun question, because for me, I feel like I'm starting to see individuals or very small teams generate incredible content that would have 10 years ago taken an entire studio to do and execute. I've seen some of these Blender videos that these artists are creating, these like little short movies, and they're so incredibly high fidelity and visually stunning. that it seems like something that an entire team of like 20 artists and a whole studio would take, but it's just one guy, right? Yeah. So I think it's now bridging the gap between the professional world and the prosumer, and also just the guy with the creative ability, the person with the creative ability to just push forward. I think now we're giving, again, kind of what I was saying before, because a lot of these people are buying these systems that are so capable now. They're able to grow into it when they may have been scared of getting into that world before. Now they can really expand their creativity. So I think the systems now, yes, there's a world for these professional systems, but there's also the power in these average systems, or these more entry-level systems that still give that creative freedom. So that's the most exciting, is just seeing what people are creating with such a either bare bones system or an average system that generates way above average work. It's exciting to see.
Definitely. And I think that's the world we live in right now, right? It's more accessible. Yeah. Like it really is going to be like, if you do have, even, a 3050 RTX, you can really use these tools to really improve where we couldn't before. We couldn't do certain things like that we are able to do now.
Very much so.
All right. Oh, this one might be a little bit of a Sophie's choice for you. I don't know. What element of editing do you see the need as the biggest impact for NVIDIA Studio? Rendering, exporting? What do you personally see the biggest impact?
That's a tough one, because it kind of spans across all of it, and it's the sum of all its parts, really. Yeah. Because at the end of the day, right, a literal day, I would have hit every one of those aspects of what has been accelerated. So I will start my day off, creating and generating 3D content, and then I'd hit my midday of rendering that content, and then I'd hit the end of the day of compositing all that content together in After Effects or any type of compositing tool, and then potentially going into Premiere to do my final edit, and then at the end of my night, I'm exporting. So it's really the entire process. It has some form of acceleration to it. So I can pull this off in a day, as opposed to an entire friggin' week.
Got it. Yeah.
So that's the difference. So I think it's the sum of all its parts.
It's just the overall time it saves you, basically, because of all of the different acceleration parts, like you said.
100%. Yes.
If you're okay, I think this will be an interesting one, and I'll say some of it too. If you're not using complex elements like green screen, multicam, do you still have advantage of NVIDIA Studio? For me personally, I don't always use those things. Like I used to use a green screen, don't use it anymore. But it really still, again, seems just because of the acceleration, because of, I can put a file format, I can even mix different file formats, and again, they're all accelerated with it. So for me, I don't necessarily do always the most complex. Sometimes it is just a one camera, a headshot video, and that's it, a talking head video. But it's still, again, the rendering and just definitely, like you said, you explained it now, what I see always, the encoding and decoding part of it, how fast it goes, is really important for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, I don't think it necessarily always has to be complicated scenes that are being accelerated. It's just, there's a lot of under the hood things that just happen, and they happen smoothly to make you able to get your job done. So it doesn't always have to be like, oh, this is 10 times faster, this is 20 times faster, this is 30 times faster. No, this just works.
Yeah.
And thank you for making it work. And then the fact that it's accelerated on top of that is the cherry on the top. Mm-hmm. So I think, I don't think it's necessarily, always about the complexity of your projects. It's just the ability to accomplish those projects.
Got it. Okay, and now we have a new question that just came in. What do you think is the best recommended number of cores for content creation?
That's I think that question can have a wildly different answer, and I think it really has to do with what kind of work you're doing. Because if it's editing, right? If it's editing, it's not just the cores. It's also the fact that our newest generation cards have tensor cores, which are specific processors that just do AI accelerated workflows. So that's what gives you the ability to do scene edit detection, auto reframe, magic mask, the roto tools, things of that nature, right? The style transfers, things of that nature. With regards to the cores, I think whatever you can afford, get it. Because at the end of the day, the more cores you have, the faster your processing is going to be. And on top of that, the more room you have to grow, like I said before. So always think of it that way. When you're building a system, when you're buying a system, think about it from a future aspect of it. Think about what you can grow into versus what you need to get the job done right now. Because you'll never know. You may just be an editor now, but you may be a visual effects artist later. Or you may be an editor now and a 3D designer later. You never know what can grow. Like that was my path. I started off just video editing, and that was it. And then I turned into visual effects, and then I was scared of 3D, and now 3D's my daily thing. So always think about the things that you can grow into. I was never looking to this path, but I grew into it. So always think about that growth.
I like what you said there, because back in the day I used to work at even the RIP Circuit City, and then Best Buy when I was in college, and I remember just telling people like, hey, this has maybe 4 gigs of RAM or 8 gigs of RAM now, but like think about it, is this going to last you 3 years, 4 years? How long do you want to keep it for? Because, if you're in high school now, college, you might be using more complex applications or things such as that. So yeah, definitely growing into it. And also, your content grows too, right? Like when I first started, I was doing like 720p, then 1080, then, 8-bit, 10-bit, all these different kind of things play a factor as you keep growing.
That's a great point with regards to the just the cameras alone. You're right. That's a great point. I think I was telling you guys before. Just this weekend I went and filmed with a 12K camera.
Yep, very jealous.
It's like I thought 8K was crazy. 12K is just stupid. It's one of those, like, you get gorgeous footage out of it, but this is the natural progression. Just things. Cameras get higher quality. Even the DSLR that I had is the Canon R5, and that thing shoots at 4K and 8K. Yeah. But the file sizes are so ginormous that you need some pretty good processing power just to play it back. Yeah. So it's just that point right there, nailed it. Is the hardware, the cameras, all the other stuff is getting more complicated. So you do have to, at some level, be ready for that. Definitely. So that's another reason why to think for the future.
Always. This is an interesting one. So how easy is it to pick up these tools through basic tutorials, or do you need some kind of professional use? I know some are automatic, but can you explain that one?
Yeah. Are we talking about? Okay, so a lot of the tools, for example, like when I was talking about auto reframe and scene edit detection. Those tools are very intuitive in Premiere in particular. I can just even talk about that, right? It's as simple as right-clicking on a timeline, and you'll see halfway down that little drop-down, it'll say Scene Edit Detection or Auto Reframe. And then you click on it, and then you have a couple different options of, are you trying to export, square video, vertical video? And you just click an option, and then it makes a new timeline, finds all the edits, reframes your sequence, and you're done.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of there's a lot of research that goes into it. There's a lot of really smart programmers out there that can tap into our hardware. I feel like the collaborative effort between all the teams make it to where it's easy for the end user to pick these tools up and just focus on being creative, as opposed to trying to figure out how to actually execute these tools. That's the best way I can phrase that. It's made easy for a reason, to keep us creative.
And then I'll actually piggyback off of this question with what you were saying. Is it sometimes frustrating when, as a first-time editor, doing these, and it can be eliminated by using NVIDIA Studio? So I remember when I was first trying to switch over to DaVinci Resolve, and again, just the exporting, it was a simple tutorial I saw, like, oh, you can export using your NVIDIA GPU, so it does it much faster. And I literally was just amazed at how quick it was. I was expecting, okay, it'll probably be about 10 minutes or so. I'll come back, I literally make myself some coffee, get ready for the next video, and it was done in 2 minutes. So I was like, wow. It really does make a difference. And that is a frustration, I would say, when you're a first-time editor, how long the rendering process can take if you don't know what to enable and just have that right equipment. And again, luckily I had an NVIDIA RTX 2070 Super, so it knocked it out like that. As soon as I went and it started, I was like, whoa, wait, how is it going this quick? So it was really awesome.
Sure. It almost looks like a mistake.
Yeah.
It almost looks like a mistake. You're like, wait,
did I miss a scene? Like, wait, did I delete something before I clicked render?
Did I just export audio?
Right.
It's
okay.
Yeah,
another new question. Do gaming laptops running game-ready drivers play nice with being swapped to studio drivers?
That's a good question. Yes, in fact, if you have a game-ready driver and you're now wanting to focus a little bit more on your creative workflows, then just install the studio-ready drivers. Simple as that. The one thing I really love about our driver system is it's really good about going back and forth with the drivers. I've even had a handful of times where I upgraded a driver and then I downgraded a driver just because I'm doing testing with another application, right?
Got it.
So it's really easy to go back and forth and just test it out. You're not going to break your system, the display drivers are made to accelerate your hardware, your NVIDIA GPU. So at that point, it's just if you're focusing on the studio, if you're focusing on professional workflows, just go to the studio driver, and then some new tools will open up for you, and it'll be a little bit more stable with those platforms.
Nice.
That's a good question.
I'm going to be honest with you. I didn't know that. I didn't know about switching back and forth. So that's going to be interesting for when I want to do some Steam gaming and stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
For this one, I can see part of it. For people looking to break into social media, what are the advantages of NVIDIA Studio platforms like Instagram and TikTok? I'll take this one just because I have been through one thing you said, which was the whole reframing tool. This is, we have so many different, we have, 16 by 9, 1 by 1, 9 by 6, 9 by 16, just so many now, reels, stories, all these different kind of things now that we kind of keep track of, and there's always new ones, shorts, all these different things. And that reframing tool really, really does help, especially, some of my product shots are just of a phone. It is in 16 by 9, but the phone is in the middle. So reframing is very easy, and if I move it over a little bit while doing something or grabbing a gamepad to play a game on the phone, demoing it, that reframing just goes perfectly with it. So it really does make such a big impact if you're doing on multiple platforms as a creator. It really saves you time, and it really just makes it a smooth transition.
Right. That's a good point.
Now that we're moving, well, you know about this because you shot 12K recently. So now that we're moving into footage going up to 8K and 12K, how important is it to have a system that can keep up with the massive amounts of footage that users are having? I mean, you talked about it. We talked about your storage earlier. How much of an impact is that now?
Well, it's a huge impact. Having a system, one that has a fast GPU that can handle just driving that many pixels and that bit rate. That's step number one, right? And then step number two is having a hard drive that can even play it back, and then having enough of that hard drive to store it. So it's kind of a combination. This is kind of what I led to before is about kind of building a system to grow into, because you might be shooting in 1080 now, you might be shooting in 4K now, but a year from now, when 8K TVs start to become a lot more popular, even though they're starting to become more popular, then you may be asked by a lot of clients to shoot in 8K. And then in certain student scenarios, like the one that I had over the weekend, we shot it in 12K, knowing that we're downscaling to 8K. Now, it wasn't because there's 12K movies, 12K TVs out there. Obviously, we know that, but it's more about taking that 12K and either cropping it in. If you think about it, if you got a 12K image and you're exporting to 1080, well, you can just scale that up a ridiculous amount, like 1,000%, and you just zoom in on anything that you want in that scene. And then on top of that, every single frame can be an image, so you can use it for print, you can use it for anything. So when it comes down to it, it's kind of important to have a system that can keep up with all of this, because if this is your work, if this is your livelihood, and this is your career path, then you just got to make sure you have the tools to get the job done.
Definitely. I'm going to ask you just a quick question. Are you going to buy more storage before the end of the year?
Before the end of the week? Because I'm pretty sure I've run out of space and I need more storage space by Friday. Is today Friday? Yes, today's Friday. So I might be going to Microsoft right after this.
For those who don't know, how many types of jobs require video editing beyond film, TV? Yeah, so I would say, really honestly, video editing or photo editing, After Effects, all these tools can be used in a lot of different ways. What if you're doing an office job and you're doing a presentation? Having a little video in there that really makes just a quick difference, and you don't want to spend a lot of time in it, of course, because if it's not your day-to-day job, it's all more important that you want to make it just quick, done, and easy. So yeah, I would say a lot of jobs that require presentations or require anything to kind of show off, I think it really will make a difference for most people, for sure. And then we go to another one. So how much does playback performance impact your ability to edit effectively? And does NVIDIA Studio impact that? So the playback performance.
So that goes back into what we talked about with our hardware accelerated. So our encode and decode both take care of that. So kind of what I touched on before with regards to in the past when we had to, transfer all our footage. I don't know if you guys remember, capturing mini DV tapes or things like that. Yeah. So back in that day, that was awful. We'd have to sit there, FireWire cable plugged in, and then recording it to like a usable, editable format. But then we started getting all these efficient, video formats, H.264, for example. Great playback, right? But not for editing, because again, it does frame estimation forwards, but not necessarily backwards. So when you try to scrub in a timeline, you'll notice in a timeline, if you press play, if you don't have a GPU, or if this is before GPUs were accelerating the decode, you would be able to play back an H.264 in a timeline, but the second you scrub backwards, it just all blew up. It just was all types of pain. But now we're able to accelerate H.264 footage, so you don't have to transcode to a different format. So you can save hard drive space, Ricky. So I don't have to buy another hard drive at the end of the week, like I have to right now. So yeah, it playback does get drastically improved with both our hardware and our studio drivers that drive that hardware. So it's best
So
way
no more
describe
going
it.
to 1/16.
Oh my, oh gosh, I remember that.
Yeah,
Pain.
definitely. So this one kind of goes on earlier, a question you answered. So what is the best solution for us creators that use one PC for gaming and editing? Can we just use a studio driver all the time?
Sure. In fact, I do. Legitimately, I have a studio driver on this main desktop machine, and I played Half-Life Alyx on it, and it was amazing. It was probably the best experience I've ever had as far as gaming is concerned. And I've played a couple sessions of Tomb Raider and things like that. It's the GPUs. The drivers are made to make sure that they're rock solid and stable for the studio platform. So you can absolutely run games with the studio drivers. Now, the advantage of the game-ready drivers is they may have certain different, they might have certain different brand new cutting-edge features that get released.
Okay.
But that's on a gaming cadence, and gaming cadences aren't as critical as studio cadences,
Got it.
because as a studio, as you can imagine, that's your livelihood. You can't have something that steps on another tool or renders another tool ineffective for a certain amount of time, because everything has to work. That's why every one of our studio drivers are very thoroughly tested, and we make sure that all the applications are ready to go before releasing those drivers. So I would say you're safer playing a game with a studio driver than studioing without a studio driver.
Got
and
it.
a game
Oh
driver
yeah,
or something like that.
that's an answer that we
Yeah.
have. Yeah, definitely. Because again, I don't use
yeah.
the game drivers typically. I'm always on the studio drivers, and I have to say I do love studio drivers are the one thing I always install immediately. I keep getting
Yeah.
all the Windows updates and everything like that. Don't always do those right away. Even have the Windows 11 popping up. I just don't know yet. I need to make sure.
I'm right there with you. I see it happen. I get anxiety if I even see that little update icon in the bottom right hand corner. I'm like, oh god, everything's gonna break. So I panic.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm right there
But
with
yeah,
you.
the studio drivers, I'm like, okay, I feel comfortable doing this one.
Rock
because,
solid.
if it's gonna just improve my editing, that's all the better.
Exactly. Studio drivers, rock solid. They've been my workhorse in keeping me up to date without any fears
Got it.
for
Definitely.
many years now.
Definitely. I think I can actually relate to this because someone said I wanted to be a content creator, but then I became a dad and it sucked up all my time. I'm a father of two, actually, so I definitely understand this, and it does take a lot of your time. Don't get me wrong, but I have a process where I'm not lying. I could never see myself doing this when I was in high school or college, but I wake up at 4 a.m. now. I knock out 2 to 3 hours of content creation, editing, and everything like that, and try to get it up before starting a 9 to 5 job. So it really is yes, there's always time that takes up. But again, I kind of keep cycling back through it. But that's why this is so important, because I know that these drivers are making my time, are cutting down my time, because I literally I only have 10 minutes to export things, and I have to get everything ready and get it out, bring up Photoshop, make a thumbnail, all of this kind of stuff. So it does take time, and if you want to be a content creator, I mean, definitely, maybe create content around kids' toys or things like that. Use whatever you have and create some content.
Great point.
And I will say, I want to recap again. We are giving away this laptop basically, again, by the end of this stream. So let's see, right now we have less than 10 minutes, for the giveaway, it's about 6 minutes. So make sure to enter in right now, because we are going to pick a winner, and that is going to be the person that wins. So I just want to recap that. The link is in the description down below. So make sure you enter, and we are going to announce the winner live here. So again, if you want to win this, and then I get a version of this too, right, guys? Okay.
Just take it and run, Ricky. Take it and run.
I mean, I
Take the live stream.
I want the RX 30.
Take the whole live stream with you. Yeah, you just bring it all down.
But I will reiterate what's in this. So this is, again, a Gigabyte Aero 15. It has an OLED display, which I love. If you know me, I review a lot of phones. I love OLED displays. They're just so bright and beautiful. You get those true blacks. It's a 4K display as well. Again, it has an NVIDIA RTX 3080, which I want, and it's just awesome. It has, of course, NVIDIA's DLSS technology, which really does run smoothly. I have played some old school games for sure. Right now, just a shameless plug for Newegg social media. We are doing a gaming tournament, and I still can't believe Counter-Strike beat Half-Life 2. But there's a gaming tournament on which one's the best PC game. But again, with those older games that can really be polished with DLSS, it really is amazing to see just how it does just so well with those. And then the newer ones even just look all the better. It does have an 11th gen i7 on here. And again, 16 gigs RAM built in, up to 64 gigs max. And again, I mean, I wish I had 64. I'm jealous. I'm jealous of you, Sabour, because I know you've told me how much your desktops have. And I just, you can never have enough RAM. Am I at least right on that? You can never have enough RAM.
Whatever. It's like 2 years of me collecting RAM.
All right, and then it does have a 4th gen 1 terabyte NVMe as well. And then let's get to the next one. I was surprised no one had asked about these yet, Sabour. So, are those masks on the shelf because they look awesome? So why don't you give us a little bit about that?
So my buddy created those masks. He's a very talented sculptor, and I love Halloween. So much so that I did a whole projection mapping effect on my house for the kids in the whole neighborhood. Cool. Where this year I went a little crazy, where it's 4 projectors all pointing at the house. And I projection that Beetlejuice, the Nightmare Before Christmas, and I created all these characters, in 3D. So it's all like 3-dimensional projection mapping. It's not just like a simple image that's projected on the house. I bought that 12-foot skeleton from Home Depot, and I projected on him as well. So he's like this whole like ghostly figure, and it's a way to get like my kind of creative outlet and also just have a little bit of fun and see the joy on my kids' faces. I added Ghostbusters this year, so I had like this full-fledged Stay Puft Marshmallow Man that I animated, and then I had a proton pack blast him, and he's like starts charring and catching on fire, and it's like the height of the entire house. It's so much fun, and I actually secretly just, I'm going to confess, I've been rendering out the sequence on this live stream while I've been live streaming.
While you've been live streaming?
Just to make sure. Yeah. While I'm live streaming, I'm rendering on my other machine for tonight. Just so tonight we can, have all the kids can see everything's ready. Yeah. So it should be fun. It should be really fun. Cool.
Yeah, so wait, then what costume are you going to be this Sunday or this weekend in general?
Well, it sucks because I can't get too scary because we have a lot of littles at the neighborhood. Yeah, so I was thinking about wearing that red mask, that guy, and because I have some matching gloves that go with it that make it look like I have 3 fingers with claws on it.
That's not too scary.
I might do that. But that's why, like, I'm gonna bring it. But if my wife says there's no way you're walking out of the house with that on because you're going to terrify every single one of the neighborhood kids. My kids are fine. My son is 3, and he had a Beetlejuice-themed 3rd birthday party for crying out loud. He loves Beetlejuice because of last year when I started the projection effects, he saw the Beetlejuice sandworm that I have going through the house, and then he just he fell in love with Beetlejuice, and now the new thing is this year it's all Ghostbusters. So he walks around the house with a proton pack and
Who are you gonna call?
and a PKE meter. Exactly. He sings that song all day long. Yeah, that's great. So
Nice.
yeah, it's either that or something simple. I have no idea yet. But it's what the wife permits.
Definitely. It's always what the wife permits. That is one thing I've learned. I definitely have learned that at this point.
Yes.
All right. And just to circle back around, what are the coolest things that you have really liked, whether it be scene detection or auto reframing? I personally have to go with auto reframing, but what are some of the coolest things you've seen from the drivers recently?
I have to say the most wow that I had, where I literally just jaw drop moment, was DaVinci Resolve's Magic Mask tool.
Yeah.
That, because I've used the rotoscope, I've used the roto brush in After Effects, and it's as simple as I grabbed one of the music videos I worked on a long time ago.
Yeah.
I grabbed the subject. I drew a line, like literally line from forehead to like middle chest, and then it traced out the subject. And I pressed play, and it had already traced out the subject forward and backwards. And that was the moment I was like, "You gotta be kidding me!" And it's still like, even talking about it right now, I was like, I still don't understand how they do it that well. And then the fact that they just like hit you even further, where you're like, you want to just select the head? Here you go. You want to just select the shirt? Here you go. It's crazy. So that's probably one of the coolest tools that I saw. But there's so many that I keep seeing pop up. Style transfers, where you can make something look like a painting, or make something look like this cartoon world. It doesn't matter. And then like a Van Gogh painting or something like that. But then also like our Gauguin tools, where you create these like little blob shapes, and then all of a sudden you have this gorgeous landscape. I'm like, you got to be kidding me! How's that even working? So there's all these really cool tools that are popping up.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's all those studio tools. It's all our hardware behind it, and then it's the fact that we're also trying to bring everybody together with Omniverse and trying to figure out ways to collaborate. Man, there's just so many cool tools coming out, and it's just going to make all of us creatives just that much more in tune with each other and just more creative in general. So it should be fun. It should be really fun.
Definitely. And it really means that, in the future, we can finally get rid of all of the photo bombers and video, at least at this point, right?
Yeah, 100%.
All right. And then we're going to have one last question, and then we're just going to wrap up and announce the winner. So we're going to announce who wins this beautiful laptop, and I'll have to continue waiting. When I first launched NVIDIA Studio, where's the first place I'll notice a significant difference?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
Go ahead, if you know.
No, well, I would say, just as soon as, like you said, the playback, I think would be the first thing. It's the beginning of the whole ordeal is just the playback immediately. Yeah.
It's pretty much pick the application that you're most in tune with, and you'll see the acceleration in that application. It's going to be the one that you notice. It's going to be the application that you're intimately familiar with how slow it is before, that you're going to notice the speed increase after.
Yeah, exactly. All right, and I think we do have a winner officially, guys. So, Robert E., congratulations. You have won this laptop. Congratulations. It is absolutely amazing, and you will literally get to be able to use all of the studio drivers we've been talking about this entire time with this laptop. So congratulations. We'll be contacting you, and again, definitely when you get it, tag us on social media. We love to see all of our winners always kind of highlight what they're doing and how they're using their devices. All right, on that note, Sabour, thank you so much for joining us today. It was a real pleasure just learning about these things that, again, I didn't even know about the studio and gaming drivers. It's like, I know these things work, but I don't know how they always work. So sometimes it's really great to learn behind the curtain and see what's there.
It was my pleasure. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. If you guys ever have any other questions, just feel free to reach out to me, or anybody at the company. We're all here to help you. And yeah, looking forward to the weekend, and hopefully everybody else has a safe weekend.
Hopefully everyone does have a safe weekend. I want to see some videos of everything you're doing for the weekend too, Sabour. That sounds awesome.
Yes, I'll send it to you guys, and you guys can blast it everywhere you want.
Awesome, awesome. All right, thank you guys so much for joining us. I really do appreciate you tuning in. Make sure to subscribe to the channel, and we do have not only so much great content like Unbox This and our Gamer Lounge, but just all these things that we're always trying to feature and get out there to you. Thank you again always so much for tuning in and watching us. This has been RICKY, the YouTube Tech Guy.